USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
Former special counsel Robert Mueller's testimony has wrapped up before a House Judiciary Committee today. Republicans pressed Mueller on the Steele dossier, which he did not answer questions about. With more on what they pressed him about, here's USA Radio Network's Chris Barnes.
Republican Representative Doug Collins pressing Mueller about whether the terms collusion and conspiracy are synonymous.
I'll leave it with the report.
So the report says, yes, they are synonymous. Hopefully for finally, out of your own report, we can put to bed the collusion and conspiracy.
Like he says in his report, Mueller told lawmakers there was insufficient evidence to file conspiracy charges against anyone in the Trump campaign.
Puerto Rico's Democratic Governor Ricardo Rosselló is expected to resign. The move comes after more than a week of protests calling for him to step down. Rosselló would be replaced by his Secretary of Justice, Wanda Vazquez. And you're listening to USA Radio News. The Queen has sworn in the UK's new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Johnson making his first address outside 10 Downing Street.
The doubters, the doomsters, the gloomsters, they are going to get it wrong again. The people who bet against Britain are going to lose their shirts because we're going to restore trust in our democracy.
Johnson is also vowing to get a better deal from the EU on Brexit. Trade talks continue in China next week.
My expectation is there'll be a few more meetings before we get a deal done. So I wouldn't expect we'll resolve all the issues, but the fact that we're back at the table at the direction of the two presidents is important.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin speaking outside the White House as he and Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer will head to Shanghai on Monday, where they'll meet with their Chinese counterparts. The FTC is slapping Facebook with a $5 billion fine over the company's privacy policy. This all stems back to them improperly using data of 87 million Facebook users. This is USA Radio News. The Democratic-led House of Representatives passed a bill that would increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour by the year 2025. But that's not good enough for some progressive Democrats, including Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib, who's pushing for a $20 an hour minimum wage. Personal finance expert Chris Hogan says we have to see this for what it is.
Well, first and foremost, let's call it what it is. This is a political stunt. This is a thing to try to pander to people to try to get them emotional. She's in a diner speaking to people that can totally relate, right? First and foremost. But if we do the math on that, and if we were to look at going to 15, what's next? 20, 25? It's not going to solve anything. If anything, it's going to create less jobs for these entry-level positions. So it's actually going to do a disservice to people.
Hogan was also asked on Fox News, what is a reasonable minimum wage?
Well, you know, I'm one of those people as a self-employed kind of mentality. I understand that your raise is effective when you are. So I can't necessarily come out and give you a hardcore dollar amount. But what I can tell you is this. People out there can start to feel economic growth for themselves if they follow the plan that I teach. Get yourself out of debt, get yourself on a budget, and have an emergency fund. When you get out of debt, you give yourself a raise. Listen, we can move the minimum wage to whatever number. Until people learn the skills of how to effectively manage money, they're never going to feel the real progress.
For more news, please remember you can find us online at usaradio.com or on Facebook at USA Radio. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.